Questions and answers. Your host, featuring me.
Oh, yes indeed, there are more questions than answers. Like, would a transformer buy life insurance or car insurance? These are the cutting questions we ask on More Questions Than Answers. I don't have life insurance because I'm going out of this world the way I came in, as a burden to my parents.
Nice.
Hi America, hello world. My name is Adrian Lee and I am your host. Welcome to the show More Questions Than Answers, the only paranormal news quiz anywhere in the world. Each week my guests and I will search the world's newspapers, websites and TV shows just for you, to bring you the very best in paranormal talk radio, entertainment and enlightenment. We will then test each other's knowledge of the week's events of the mysterious, strange, supernatural, unusual, bizarre, and just plain weird. If you have just tuned in especially to hear the show, then I admire your taste. If you have just tuned in by accident, then I admire your luck. I am huddled under my quilt with a large flashlight and a nice cup of tea with tonight's guests, somewhere in the barren wildernesses of the Minnesota plains, with the sound of my elderly mother snoring distantly from the room next door. We're colour matching today, did you see that?
Very nice.
I've got my Halloween colours on. I thought I'd
Yes.
match. If we can't do that and I'm British, there's no chance for anybody, is there?
No.
So each week we press our ear against the bedroom wall, whatever my mother listens to before she goes to bed, picks and pulls on her unconscious mind, and that's the very tune she then snores. What is she snoring tonight? Here in my car. Bit of Gary Newman back in the day. Also, Friends Are Electric was one of his big hits, which is very similar to what my mother's got hidden in the bedroom. That is 100% true. My mother actually contributed on our Facebook wall this week. She's now become friends with all of the people that watch on our Facebook wall, which is a little bit scary for me. I'm not sure I like the idea of that. My mother was saying, why can't you be nice to me? Why am I a pig? Well, it's only the noise, Mother, and that's how you snore. It's all good in the world. If you want to chat to my mother, she's available on Facebook, and I'm sure she would be very happy. So snuggle under your covers, turn out the lights, and hold on tight. The rules are very simple. Points will be awarded randomly for being interesting or for making me laugh or shiver in horror. Extra points will be available for shock and or value. To help me control my rowdy panel of recidivists and reprobates, I will employ what I have called the inappropriate bell. An example of this would be... That was a good one, wasn't it?
Very, very
Ringing
good.
out into the ether as we speak. The panel have no idea what's coming. I have no idea what stories they have for tonight's show. So let me introduce my guests. Firstly, the mysterious and effervescent Heather Morris. She's been a paranormal investigator for many years with her own team called Hellhound Investigations and does all of her best work in the shadows. She is now one of the leading audio and DVP experts with the International Paranormal Society and brings her knowledge and research skills to tonight's show. She's also a producer and sound engineer. Heather realized this week that when one door closes, another one opens. Yes, she was in jail. Welcome to the show, Heather.
Oh, God. Hello.
How was that for you? Everything you hoped it would be?
Yep, and they have Bob Barker products.
Perfect. She almost got shanked and beaten up. Her family does take Monopoly very seriously. I will share that with everyone. I also wish to introduce the man and crazy. Michelle Corrie, she was born and raised in Moira, Minnesota, and has a keen and avid interest in all things paranormal. All secrets are safe with Michelle. Odds are she wasn't even listening.
Probably
Welcome
not.
to the show, Michelle.
Thank you.
A secret is, of course, what you tell everyone not to tell anyone else. They are mad, they are bad, and they are paranormal. This is series 4, episode 12. I want to mention straight away, before we jump into the show proper, we have a watch party taking place. If you're joining us on Mcn6, you can go there if you're not looking right now. At 9 o'clock Central Time, we have a watch party taking place because I'm about to read out a quiz called A Lack of General Knowledge, and you can play along at home. We had over 630 comments in a 1-hour block last week. So if you think you'd like to play along, if you'd like to share the answers with the people on Facebook, if you'd like to share memes, is that what they're called? I'm getting too old for this. Memes. If you'd like to share graphics, if you'd like to GIFs, is that another one? GIFs?
Yeah,
I know all the
GIFs.
buzzwords, I just don't know what any of them mean. But if you'd like to play along, go to Facebook, More Questions and Answers with Adrian, and there's a lot of fun taking place. There's a watch party happening right now as you're watching this on the television. You're watching it screened on your devices. There's not many shows that actually have that kind of participation, and it is good fun.
It is.
So as we always start with the convention that is the Martin sponsored Gong of Infinite Knowledge, with the file in the cake, the porridge of facts, and at least I can leave with job skills of statistics. Stand back, ladies.
Martine!
Always very impressive.
Very.
I can't help but look at a gong. This happens to me every time. It's imprinted. I've made synaptic links, and they're very difficult to break, of course, unless you use aversion therapy. The end of Bohemian Rhapsody. Any way the wind blows. Now, if I had aversion therapy, they'd be playing Bohemian Rhapsody, and in that part, I'd be electrocuted.
Yes.
It would be any way the wind blows.
Clockwork Orange.
Wow, bit of Stanley Kubrick. There we go. Now, on this very day, the actor Frank Morgan sadly passed away in 1949. You're all looking a little confused. Miss Morris has got a grin on her face. I've seen you looking up at the stars. Do you know? I will give you points straight away if you can tell me who Frank Morgan is. You will know him. So on this very day in 1949, very long time ago, in 1949, Frank Morgan passed away at the age of 59, which is also concerning because a few of us are edging towards those heady numbers as we speak. Does anyone want to jump in and tell me? I'm sure people are playing along at home and they're shouting this out at their television screens as we speak. Miss Morris, you have a
Yes?
cherub's look on your face. You have the look of a naughty child. Have you
He-
drank all the milk, Miss Morris?
Twilight Zone.
He was in the Twilight Zone, a bit early for the Twilight Zone in 1949, by 10 years, I would suggest.
Is it Buster Keaton?
It isn't Buster Keaton, but I will tell you he played the Wizard of Oz,
Oh.
Frank Morgan. So for the very first time in the history of MQTA Radio, I cannot believe that strange, bizarre, and fascinating facts about the Wizard of Oz. Feeling confident?
No.
Is this a film you like?
I never liked it all that much. It scared me.
It is scary. It's got the flying monkeys, of course, and the witch. There's many things in there to be unhappy about. The Wizard of Oz, for me, is a film that's on over Christmas in Britain. So they must have bought the rights for it because it's so old, and they can just play it over and over and over again. In the days, of course, when there was only 3 or 4 channels available. So, of course, around the Christmas period, you're visiting your grandmother, you're visiting your cousins, your aunts and uncles. It's a film that I don't think I've seen all the way through from start to finish, but I think collectively of all the individual parts, I've probably seen it 20 to 30 times,
Right.
but never as a whole, I would suggest. But there's enough in there to keep you entertained. If you don't know the answers, some sense of collective consciousness and being psychic would obviously be the way to go, unless Miss Morris has done what she normally does and looks at my notes while I'm squeezing the
Nope.
lemon
No.
before
Couldn't be bothered.
the show. Someone will win the points because I'm going to give you some options here. How many roles did Frank Morgan play in The Wizard of Oz? Closest person will win the point. So you can guess if you do not know the answer, but I would like you to tell me how many roles he played. I'll give you a clue. He was the Wizard of Oz, so you can have one. How's that? How many roles did he play in the film The Wizard of Oz?
4.
You are suggesting 4. What did he play? He put a suit on and was the large flying
5.
monkey.
He played
and you
5.
think 5 because...
He was the doorkeeper.
You know this for a fact, or are you guessing?
No, he was the doorkeeper.
He was the doorkeeper, keeper of the doors.
He drove the multicolored coach.
He drove the multicolored coach. What's this? Mystery Tours by the Beatles.
He was the great and powerful Oz, and he was the
3.
man behind the curtain.
Okay.
And he was probably one of the guards for the witch.
Oh.
That's an interesting selection. Do you think he got paid for all of those, or he was just paid to be there and they happened to be extra?
Paid to be there.
To be fair, if you're an actor and you're behind the scenes waiting for your part, I guess if you can do other things, it makes your time go quicker. I think a lot of actors and actresses would complain that they spend a lot of time waiting around while they're messing around with lights and makeup and sets, and they don't actually spend too much time actually physically acting, I think.
Oh, 5.
You are going...
Or no,
you said 5 originally.
Oh, how many did you count? 4?
Well, you went to
then he
4, then you
also
went to 5, and now apparently 6 is the way to go.
Yes, because he also played like Uncle whatever, or the doctor that came for Dorothy
Oh.
as well.
I can't believe you're using intellect and common sense.
He played the
these
doctor.
things are unusual for you in the same way that soap and water is unusual for people in Iowa.
Yes.
Inappropriate, Belle. Michelle, have a guess. Heather's gone with 4, 5, and 6. She's playing a game of roulette, and she's placed her chips over everything. You can have one of those numbers if you wish.
I'll say 4 and 7.
4 and 7. When did this game become so corrupt? I will tell you that I was going to say Frank Oz. Muppets, of course. Frank Morgan did in fact play 5 roles during the course of The Wizard of Oz. I will give Morris actually 3 points. I'm going to be highly generous this evening. I'm going to be very philanthropic because she actually got most of them right. He did play the wizard, of course. Back in Kansas, he played Professor Marvel. I think that's what
the traveling
right
salesman.
That's what you were trying to get.
That's what I was.
He did play the gatekeeper, which was 100% correct. He played a guard, and he also played the carriage driver.
Nice, so Heather. You got them all.
For someone who says she doesn't like Wizard of Oz, I claim shenanigans. I think cheating has taken place is what's happened there. How did you get all of those?
I remember things.
You said you didn't like the Wizard of Oz.
Scorpio, remember?
So you're a Scorpio, you remember everything.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you get told, you're holding it against me 20 years later.
Correct.
With a list. I remember when you said this about me.
Yep.
It's a warning out there. This is a public information service. This is a warning to anyone who wants to be friends with a Scorpio. They remember everything and they'll hold it against you even 10 years later.
You said I look like a mental patient.
I did earlier when you had your hair in a very strange place. I don't know what you did before the show. She's messing around with her hair and it was all coming forward. And it looked like Simple Jack. Do you remember him from Tropic Thunder? She's got it all coming forward. I don't know what you were playing at back there. I was expecting you to make up some teeth with some orange peel or something. Points can be removed, they can be given, and they can be removed. Now, this is 100% true. I will tell you this. This is remarkable. 100% true. This was in a TV listings magazine, and I actually saw the actual article. So this is 100% true. TV listings magazine. It says The Wizard of Oz, 8 till 10 p.m. This was on TCM. They've actually written, this man either was very bitter or he was bored of writing up the reviews of the films. He's written, transported to a surreal landscape, a young girl kills the first person she meets and then teams up with a group of strangers to kill again. This is a joy. 100% true. I tell you, you can go and look that up. So Heather has got herself a trispendent collection of points. What colour were Dorothy's shoes originally? In the original book, what colour were Dorothy's shoes? And you can keep guessing until you get the answer right.
Yellow.
Points will be had. Yellow shoes on a yellow brick road, you'd just disappear. It would look like you're walking along without any feet, wouldn't it? Like a green screen, I guess.
Sure.
You are going with yellow.
Yeah.
They were yellow in the original book, of course. Frank Baum, L. Frank Baum, was the original author for that. Baum in German is actually an insult. I don't know if you realise that. I've lived in Germany. I lived in Austria many, many years ago. The word Baum is actually farmer. It means farmer in German. But of course, people would then use that as a term of, not being very bright. Being rural probably is politically correct. But if you go to Germany and call someone Baum, they will look at that as an insult, unless you're standing in their field, of course, and you've got 100,000 acres behind you full of corn and soybeans. Michelle, what colour were Dorothy's shoes originally?
Black.
You are saying they were black. You are both wrong, but I am happy to keep going
Blue.
until you say the colour. Let's play
Orange.
What's My Colour?
Green.
Oh, keep going.
Purple.
Nope. You won't find this on a colour
Puce.
chart. What's puce? Describe puce.
I don't know.
Chartreuse.
Again, colours I've never heard of. Magenta, cyan. Shout some colours at me.
Burnt umber.
Nope. They were kind of ruby metallic, if that helps you. You've not shouted this out. It's not on a colour wheel, but they were.
Silver.
There you go. I knew you'd get there in the end if I gave you enough clues. Michelle, you're up to a rather resplendent. It fits. 2 points. We may have all gained a little weight, of course, during COVID and being in isolation, but at least our slippers still fit.
Yeah.
I'm wearing them right now underneath this table.
Yeah.
Heather's already mentioned this. How did they change the horses in the Emerald City to different colours?
They painted them.
Well, that's not rocket science, is it? I'm not suggesting for one moment they force-fed them over a period of year, green food dye. But I'd like to know, of course they painted them. I want to know what they painted them in.
Food coloring.
You are suggesting food colouring based on the fact that I said food colouring.
Yep.
You are 100% wrong. There we go.
Well, then it had to be kids paint.
Kids paint. You're finger painting horses, are you?
Finger paint, kids paint.
Right, kids, I've got a project for you. There's a barn full of horses. There's some paint. I'll be back in an hour.
Egg dye.
Egg dye. What's an egg dye?
Easter egg dye.
Easter egg dye.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
With
a little...
vinegar and
Vinegar.
colors.
I have no idea. That's like marbling, isn't
Vinegar and color pellets.
it? You do some crazy things in this country.
Yeah.
I didn't even realise rabbits laid eggs. I don't know where I've been all my life.
American rabbits.
It's remarkable. Michelle, how did they colour the multicoloured horses in the film The Wizard of Oz?
They spray painted them.
All you're giving me is methods of putting it on. I want to know what they actually used. And I know what you're up to. You're crafty and you're trying to win some points. I do not need the method. I need the material.
Eyeshadow.
That's a lot of eyeshadow, isn't it?
Temper
Yeah.
paint.
I will tell you that this is delicious and completely
Icing.
harmless. Icing.
Cake icing.
Go and
Cake
ice those
icing.
horses. You haven't got there yet. Am I going to have to give you this one?
Yep.
On the fact that we're like 20 minutes in and I want to get through this tonight. It was Jello. They dyed them
Aw, man.
Jello.
Jello. Ironic, really, as gelatine is actually made from animal bones and hooves. That's why vegetarians can't have Jello, if you know such wonders. It's also in cheese, and why you get vegetarian cheese. Jello shots, my second favourite thing that jiggles.
Oh.
I love this show. Who was your favourite character? Do you remember? Who would be
Mine
your favourite?
originally was the Cowardly Lion.
You like the Cowardly Lion, did you?
Mhm.
I thought that was a bear when I was a kid. I don't know why. That suit was so heavy, apparently. It weighed like 90 kilos, and he had to sit down. He couldn't stand up in it. It was such a heavy suit. I think it was actually made from lion. I think the lion suit was actually made from a lion back in the day.
Oh.
100% true, I tell you. Michelle, what was your favourite character?
Well, now it's the flying monkeys, but it wasn't when I was a child. Probably Dorothy.
You liked Dorothy. Dorothy, of course, Judy Garland comes from Minnesota, up there in the north. We'll have to go and investigate her house one day. Maybe take a paranormal team out there and see if she's around and wants to have a chat with us. The Tin Man was my favourite. I like the Tin Man. C-3PO, of course, was based on a little bit of the Tin Man back in the day. And the character from Metropolis, of course. An amalgamation of all those things. The Tin Man was meant to cry oil tears. Do you remember him crying?
Mm-hmm.
But what did they actually use to reproduce the tears?
Glycerin.
Well, you're obsessed. Now I've said Jello. Glycerine? That's an explosive, isn't it?
I don't know.
An explosive set of tears. You'd cry into your hanky, the whole thing would blow up. You'd lose your hands.
Vaseline.
You wouldn't be able to operate your digital watch. You are suggesting Vaseline.
Or vegetable oil.
Vegetable. So you've done what you normally do and you've given me 3 answers. If you had to plump for one, if you had to go for one, because poor Michelle is just getting your leftovers is what she's doing.
Yeah, I would say a Vaseline.
You are going to go with Vaseline for tears. Any thoughts?
I think it's Crisco vegetable oil.
I will tell you, it's actually more foodstuffs. We're going to go down the road of more foodstuffs here.
Yeah.
What looks like oil? What could look like oil, do you think, if you were filming?
Molasses, syrup.
Keep going.
I have no idea.
Honey.
Butter.
Honey.
I will give Michelle 1 point because it's chocolate syrup is what I wanted rather than syrup.
Oh.
But you said syrup, and I will give you the point. It was chocolate syrup. They also used chocolate syrup in Star Wars for Chewie and got a chocolate chip Wookiee.
Terrible.
I love Chewie. See?
I love this show. Now, can you believe this fact? Judy Garland's daughter, of course, Liza Minnelli, married Jake Halley Jr., the son of the Tin Man, in 1974.
No.
35 years after The Wizard of Oz. I didn't know that. Can you believe that? Dorothy's daughter married the Tin Man's son. I never knew that until I started doing research. That's remarkable. Also on this day, Jimi Hendrix sadly passed in 1970, so we remember him on this day. On this day in 1502, Christopher Columbus lands in Costa Rica on his 4th and final voyage. So for the very first time in the history of MQTA Radio, I cannot believe that strange, bizarre and fascinating facts about Costa Rica.
Oh.
Somewhere you've ever been? Would you like to go one day? Somewhere warm, lots of golden beaches, fabulous foods, Miss Morris, and how much you like your food. Now, when raising your glass or beer to say cheers, you are supposed to do what to avoid 7 years of bad luck in Costa Rica? And I will tell you, this is also true in Germany and some of the European countries. They do this as well. But when raising your glass or beer to say cheers, there you go. You are supposed to do this to avoid 7 years of bad luck.
Down it in one.
You're supposed to down it in one. Probably not a good idea if you're in Munich at the Oktoberfest and you've been given a litre of German beer.
Mm-hmm.
You're suggesting that to avoid 7 years of bad luck, you have to down that in one go.
Yes, or pay for the next round.
Or you're paying for the next round. Is that a choice? You get 7 years of bad luck, or you have to pay for the next round, like you've got some sort of choice. I like your thinking, Miss Morris. Michelle Corrie, what do you have to do when you are saying cheers and raising a glass in Costa Rica?
I think you have to drink out of it before you set it down.
It has to be drank out of before you place your glass on the table. I did mention this is true in Germany, the Germanic and Teutonic countries. You have to look them in the eye. You have to look them in the eye to avoid 7 years of bad luck in the bedroom, actually. It's 7 years of bad luck in the bedroom.
Ooh.
I must have done something to get 7 years of bad luck.
Yep, that's what you did. You didn't make eye contact. That's the trick. That's what you've got to do. I think you may have done that a couple of times, to be honest. I think you've been saving it all up, I would suggest. Remember, it's also bad luck to see a black cat when you're in fact a mouse. I'll share that with you as well. What can a divorced woman in Costa Rica not do after getting a divorce? She is not allowed to do this in Costa Rica after getting a divorce. What do you think that may be?
Get remarried
You cannot get remarried. And why would that be?
because you're only supposed to do it once.
You are only supposed to do it once. Michelle, what's she not allowed to do? If you've been divorced in Costa Rica, you're not allowed to do what if you're a woman? What's that? The
Dancing.
Macarena?
Yeah, the
Wow.
Macarena.
I love the fact that now we're on the television, you can actually do all the mimes and you can do all of the actions. And we
Yeah.
can see that. Miss Morris is 100% correct. She's not allowed to get married, but she can get married after something happens. So I will give Miss Morris a couple of points, and she's managed to swim to the shore, climb up the beach, and get herself a couple of extra points there. But she can get remarried after what?
He dies.
After, wow,
She
there'd be a lot of
killed him.
people falling downstairs and mysteriously disappearing in the middle of the night. I've made you a nice cup of tea. I don't feel so well. The law is, I'm going to jump in and help you. The law is she's not allowed to get remarried for 9 months. Now, I thought to myself, this is a very strange law. And then I thought to myself, hang on a second, what else takes 9 months? So I'm wondering if the fact that she could be pregnant may play some part in the fact that she's not allowed to get divorced. They just want to make sure she's not carrying a baby in case that causes problems. If, for example, what happens in this country if you go to court and you get divorced and you don't have children, and that's part of the settlement in court, but 9 months later you do in fact have a child, and that's already taken care of in the divorce proceedings. Do you see how that can happen? So I don't know. It seems to make sense to me, but there we go. Those are the laws in Costa Rica. What do Costa Ricans put in a baby's nursing bottle?
Rum.
This is very common. A drop of rum. Would you get off to sleep? I'm sure babies in the 1960s and 70s got things like whiskey and rum rubbed on their gums for when they were teething and the like, just to
Yeah.
get them alcoholic babies all over the world. That says a lot, doesn't it, about that generation, that they were brought up with a drop of brandy on a pacifier. I'm sure most children have had that back in the day. Can you imagine that now? There'd be an outcry, wouldn't there?
There would be.
So the question is, what do Costa
Rum.
Ricans put in babies' nursing bottles? And you say a drop of Tom Thumb,
Yep.
not a gold drop of gold watch,
Nope.
not a Mickey Flynn,
Nope.
a drop of rum.
Yep.
What are you suggesting could be the answer, Michelle?
A monkey paw.
A monkey's paw.
No,
What-
you get wishes off of that.
Is it still attached
Oh.
to the monkey? And I think that's a monkey's knackers. If you touch the monkey's knackers, you get a wish.
No, it's not. It's a monkey paw.
Well, that was what I was told in Gibraltar, and that monkey still writes. Every Christmas I get a card. Neither of you have mentioned this. What would Costa Rica be famous for? What's probably their biggest export, do you think?
Bananas.
Yes, they put bananas in a baby's
Coffee.
nursing bottle.
They
There
put
we
coffee in
go.
there.
It's like pulling teeth some days, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? I
Banana
give you
coffee.
banana coffee, banoffee,
And a monkey paw.
and a monkey's paw, and there's no room for the milk. Coffee with milk was the answer. Michelle actually drinks coffee for our protection. I just thought I'd share
I
that
do.
with everyone. Now, I'm British, of course. I have tea running through my veins. I do actually know that I was given sweet milky tea in a nursing bottle when I was a small child. So I think that's a common occurrence for British children. But in Costa Rica, it's coffee. Are you getting those kids to go to sleep anytime soon if you're letting them imbibe coffee? That's madness. There's kids running around everywhere. Little babies crawling about high on coffee. It's either coffee or Sunny Delight, one of the two, I would suggest. Scientists recently named a species of Costa Rican fern after a pop star. After they played in San Jose, what is the fern called? What's the fern called? They've named a fern after a pop star in Costa Rica. What's the fern called?
What's the fern
What's
called?
the fern called? Let's play What's My Fern?
Yes, I'm going to say, well, it wouldn't be Britney Spears because her career's dead.
It's a Spears fern.
No.
Wow, poor Britney Spears. She's probably crying right now hearing you say those tragic words.
I don't really care.
Wow.
I really
Empathy
don't.
from Miss Morris there. This is what you get from
Nope, don't
pioneering
care.
Minnesotan women.
The Backstreet Boys.
The Backstreet Boys Fern.
Yeah.
Michelle, what did they name that fern?
It's either the Bieber or the Lady Gaga.
You have won some points. It's the Lady Gaga fern.
Oh,
You're up to a
boy.
rather splendid foliated 5. It's the Lady Gaga fern. This is 100% true. Bon Jovi, Madame Gaga, and the Coldplay. You're just reading those out and you've no idea who they are. Lady Gaga, of course, fashion, officially out of good ideas. The proof is there, I tell you. How do you wake Lady Gaga up, by the way? You poke her face.
Oh my God.
No.
I love
Wow.
No.
this show. I love this show.
I give
That
up.
was then, but this is now. As we enter our favourite round, it's the mailbag.
Mailbag.
We love the mailbag. You can write to us at any time, of course, if you go to Facebook, More Questions Than Answers, with Adrian Lee. You can post your messages. We have a watch party currently taking place. You can join in live with that as well, and you can share all of the jokes, all of the gifts, all of the messages, and all of tonight's stories that we're about to read out, and much, much more is on that Facebook site. There's far too much on there for me to tell you. Just get yourself over to there and enjoy the amusement, the fun, and the frivolity. We had a lot of messages. Our first show was several weeks ago on MCN6. We have been doing this for 8 years as a radio show, and we used to have cameras in the studio as well for our Patreon supporters. But this is only our third show now on MCN6, and the letters are flooding in. People are very impressed, apparently. Cindy in Hector has written, great show. She's a
Thank
lady
you
of few
very
words,
much.
but that's fabulous. Jeff, a good follower and patron, of course, from the beginning. Jeff in Milwaukee has posted, great to see everyone.
Hi, Jeff.
Normally you only hear our voices, so this must be a great disappointment to many
I wonder if
people.
he has to watch it in the hardware store.
I think he may have changed jobs, but there was a time when he would sit back and relax in one of the patio chairs in the hardware store in Milwaukee and actually listen to the show. And we have photographic proof of that as well. Being on the TV, of course, I'm having to look smart now. I'm having to dress up rather than sitting here in my bathrobe and a pair of boxer shorts. But this is now where we are. Catherine in Montevideo said, great show, so much fun to watch.
Thank you.
People are enjoying the visual element. David in New York has posted, that was awesome. Great show, guys. Congratulations. We're from all over America there, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to go global as well. Tanya in Australia, great friend and follower of the show, says that was awesome. Be well, everyone.
Oh, thank you.
Now, I will add to this. We get lots of parcels. We get lots of presents. We get lots of goodies coming through the post. And we've had one every week since we've been on MCN6. I have a parcel down by my right foot that I've opened. There was a letter. I hope this is nice and not full of something like glitter or other nasty things, because
Oh,
I've actually looked and seen. Orange seems to be the theme today, doesn't it? Do you not
Yes.
think everything's kind of, you know, More Questions Than Answers was brought to you by the colour orange, is where we are today. But what a fabulous card. There's a little black cat with lots of little cotton
oh,
candies
I
on
love him.
their head. I will read this out to you. Hopefully it's nice. If it says your show's terrible, I'm now going to look rather ridiculous, am I not? May your sugar high last all year. Well, we've had a few of those on the show. Hello, my MQTA lovies. Happy Halloween Eve. A little bit early, but I
Yes.
admire her assiduity and enthusiasm. Hope you enjoy your tricks and treats. Thank you all for the laughs. Tracy, your friend and patron.
Oh.
Tracy, I believe, shares her time between Arkansas and Florida. So a great many thanks to
Thank
those.
you,
We'll put that up
Tracy.
Thank you very much.
on the wall.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love the card.
We love receiving your gifts. We're all running around on sugar highs. I will delve into the box. This probably won't make great television, but I'm going to look into the box and see what we've been given here. The first thing that I'm grabbing
Oh, yeah.
pickle flavored soda.
soda.
I would imagine if you had that with a vodka, that would be pretty decent. I'm going to sit that there. We're going to drink that on next week's show. So if you tune in next week, MCN6 at 9 o'clock, we will be drinking that on air. I feel like Santa Claus, like going down into the sack and seeing what presents and gifts we have. Wow. I'm going to pull up a couple of things. There's a huge box full of goodies. We have a Bigfoot magnetized
Sam Squinch.
bottle opener for our pickle juice. We have some bacon-flavoured candy, all the rage, of course, with
boy.
Jewish people all over the world. We have Pez dispensers.
Oh, my
Look,
God. Shaggy.
there we go. It's old man Withers from the amusement arcade. We have a whole selection of things. What else? Let me go delving for more goodies. This is a joy, isn't it?
Yes.
This makes me very happy. There's all sorts in here. We have...
Oh.
What are these? Nick Nip. What are they? Are they American?
Hey,
I've never
They're
seen these before.
wax with
wax
fruit,
with
sugary.
juice.
That's just what we
juices.
need. Lots of sugar. I'm running out of room. Gold Mine Golden Nuggets bubble gum.
I'll give you some
Good.
golden nuggets.
I get the impression that this is from your childhood and these are cultural, but I've no clue what any of this stuff is. Tracy, that's fabulous. Thank you.
Thank
Tracy.
you, Tracy.
There's far too many things, but we appreciate that. I love the Shaggy and the Scooby-Doo Pez dispensers, so thank you for those. Tune in next week. We will be drinking pickle juice flavoured soda. Now, all of tonight's stories, all of the watch parties on Facebook, More Questions and Answers with Adrian Lee. You can see us first on Saturday at 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time on MCN6, and it's easy to find. It's Channel 6 if you're based in the Twin Cities metro area. You can find it on Roku if you search for MCN6, or you can go to www.mcn6.org and you can stream it on all your devices, your iPods, your phones, and your laptop. Isn't it interesting that shortening of words like www is meant to make it quicker and easier, right? But it's actually easier to say World Wide Web.
Yes.
So the shortening is actually longer than saying World Wide Web. The planet's gone mad. Does anyone even think about these things? But there is a watch party and our shows are repeated. If you go onto YouTube, search for More Questions and Answers with Adrian Lee, you'll see lots of outtakes, lots of funny incidents and accidents, as well as repeats of the show. The show is now repeated on the radio as well. We started out on radio. We've been going for 8 years. If you still wish to listen to us on the radio, hence the headphones and the microphone, you can do that as well at 10 p.m. Central Time on digistreamglobal.com. That's digistreamglobal.com. And all of these links, of course, are on our Facebook site. We have a listening party. So if you're in the car, if you're cutting the grass, if you're on a long journey, if you're in the park with the dog, if you're exercising in the gym, you can listen to us as well on a Friday night, and that's the repeat of Saturday's TV show. Miss Morris, would you like to describe to our aesthetically pleasing and beautiful listeners how they can access the show in our archives?
You can go onto soundcloud.com and search for MQTA Radio, or you can actually access us on Patreon, which has tons of fun stuff, such as videos that have never been seen before, radio plays that have probably never been heard before.
Never seen the light of day.
That's right. But you can only access those on Patreon.
This is 100% true. If you wish to donate to the show, it's a single dollar. Patreon, and then search for MQTA Radio. You get a lot for your single dollar. And we have many patrons, all of the sites that you can access the show, SoundCloud, all of our platforms, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Buzzspot, Spotify, everything you can think of. They all cost sums of money, so you can donate to those as well. But on SoundCloud, we have 250,000 listens, 250,000 listens. Can you believe such things? In 190 countries all over the world. And we stay in the studio and do an extra 20 minutes at the top of the hour called Not For Your Mother, because when we're researching all the stories from around the world, we come across stories that are rather adult in nature, and we can't read those out on air because we will be removed. So if you find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, any of our platforms, if you go to Patreon as well, you'll get an extra 20 to 25 minutes in a round we call Not For Your Mother, and some people say it's their favourite part of the show, which says a lot about the type of people that we are attracting, I guess. My Twitter account is Adrian_Lee_tips. That's TIPS. I have 90,000 followers on there, and I am an author. If you wish to read a spooky Halloween book, go on to Amazon, go on to any ebook, or go to your local Barnes and Noble, and you can find Mysterious Minnesota, Mysterious Midwest, with a foreword by David Ellefson of Megadeth. I've written How to Be a Christian Psychic and Ghosts and UFOs, connecting paranormal phenomena through quantum physics and much, much more. You can find those on there. Michelle is on 2. I'm yet to score. You're not on 2. You're on 5. I just can't do the maths. There's 3 types of people in this world. Those that are good at maths and those that are bad at maths. I've lost my pen many, many minutes ago. You're on 5, Michelle. I'm yet to score. Heather has managed to claw her way to 7. Not quite sure how that happened, as we enter the round that we call Ghosts and Hauntings. And remember, we do not do orbs. A couple of spooky apparitions were caught on camera running across the road of what is widely to believe to be one of the most haunted places in America. The spine-tingling footage was shot last week at the Gettysburg Civil War battle site in Pennsylvania. Greg Euling, 46, took the ghostly video as he was driving through the historic site on a visit with his family. A couple of spooky apparitions were caught on camera running across the road. We just went there as tourists to learn about the history of the Civil War and see the old battleground where the Gettysburg Address was given and all that stuff. And all that stuff! Remarkable. We were driving along one night and we started hearing noises. I heard things to the left, and my uncle heard things to the right, and there was a fog, but the fog was weird. It was only in one patch and not dispersed. Then we saw these shapes moving in the darkness. They were the size of humans. One of them ran right through the cannon. It was very scary. It was crazy. My uncle got so scared that he rolled up the window. Always a good defense against ghosts, isn't it, rolling up windows, with their ability to walk through walls and physical objects. Look, there's a ghost. You better wind up. It's like being in bed. There's a monster in your room, so you pull the duvet cover up and the quilt, because that would be a good defense against an axe murderer or someone with a chainsaw, wouldn't it? That's not a bad idea. Kevlar bedding. I thought of that first. Kevlar quilts, for those of you scared of knife attacks in the middle of the night. We went back and watched the videos over and over again, and then we blew them up on the big screen to get a closer look. That made us even more freaked out, he said. It was really exciting. But I also got this strange, ominous feeling, like something was telling me to go back there. I couldn't go to sleep. I was so creeped out. I always questioned the validity of those ghost videos you see on TV. I was always pretty disbelieving. I believe everything now. The video was uploaded to YouTube, where one person commented with a rational explanation for the spooky sight. It's nothing more than a reflection from the headlights of his car reflecting back off the cannons onto the water streak on his windows. Look closely and you can see the streak of water a second or two before the ghosts seemingly appear, and they loop over the wheels of the cannon in sync with the water streak. It's nothing more than that. I'm going to bunk my own story. If you wish to see that for yourself, you can go to our Facebook site, More Questions Than Answers, with Adrian Lee. Streaky water light, or what a crock of shenanigans. You decide. Go to our Facebook site, More Questions Than Answers, with Adrian Lee. Miss Morris, what have you got for me tonight in the round of ghosts and hauntings?
There is a cursed doll with an evil sign nailed to its chest, and it's hung from a tree, which is spooking locals.
Creepy. So they've hung a doll from a tree. What did the doll do wrong? Did it get a fair trial? Seems a little unfair.
Locals are spooked by a creepy doll that has been nailed to the tree at a busy road junction in Liverpool. So there we are. We're in Liverpool.
It's the ghost of John Lennon, I tell you, if you can imagine such a thing.
The mysterious doll is tied by a rope on a small piece of wood, and it's covered by a sign which reads, "Evil lives here." That's very nice. I'm glad it lives in Liverpool.
Yes.
It is also pinned up by a rusty nail, like a stake through the figure's heart. It was first spotted by Dawn Hall, who passes a sign in the Old Swan area regularly on her way to work. She said, "It's baffling, everybody. I've lived here 15 years
She's not lived there that long. That's not a Liverpool accent, is it? What
and
accent's
never
that?
seen anything like it before.
That's almost bordering on Pakistani.
It
What part
looks
of
like
Liverpool's this?
it's been there for a while. At least a while, little while, for a while. The nails are all rusty.
Oh my.
Rusty.
I can't get out, you know what I say, like, nails are rusty. That's one of those Scots Liverpudlians you read so much about.
It blends in with the tree, and it's real scary. Now I've taken pictures of it. I feel spooked and wondering, am I cursed now? Maybe. Should
How's this
be.
anywhere near Liverpool? How's this a Liverpool accent? Why are you even
It's
attempting
been
this?
put on social media,
Wow.
and everyone's baffled.
They're confused. I'm confused. I know that. I'm struggling.
One possible explanation for the weird doll is that it is a reference to the discovery of a mass grave in nearby St. Oswald Street. A total of 3,561 bodies were found in coffins piled 16 deep by council workmen in 1973 and were subsequently cremated. They were burnt.
So they think it's down to the
Crispy.
fact that they were stacking up bodies in coffins.
It was a popular local rumor that many of the dead had holes in their chest as if a stake had been driven into them. But why the bodies were buried there remains a mystery.
They've no idea. It's a magical mystery tour, isn't it, Miss Morris? Ghosts in Liverpool or The Man's a Fool? You decide for yourself. If you go to our Facebook site, More Questions and Answers with Adrian Lee, I'll give you a couple of rather resplendent points. You are now up to the single integer of 9. Miss Corrie, what have you got for me tonight in the round of ghosts and hauntings?
A mum and daughter ghost hunting team say they have caught the ghost of a long dead tin miner on video.
So he's a miner made of tin.
He mined the tin.
I think tin is one of
Tin
the
Man.
prerequisites of bronze, isn't it? Tin was very important because you make bronze from tin. Is that correct?
I
So
don't know.
the Bronze Age had to be. There was a lot of tin mining around Cornwall.
Mhm.
The Cornish pasty was designed to go into tin mines with Cornish miners back in the day. That is true.
Oh. The Cornish Ghost Whisperers were filming a Facebook Live paranormal visit to a ruined mine for their 12,500 followers when they caught the spooky figure on film. In the clip, recorded by Candace Collins, the figure of a man can clearly be seen standing near the remains of an engine house. The dark, human-shaped object appears to be solid and barely moves as the ghost hunters shine their flashlights on it. The figure stands motionless for more than a minute, and then the camera moves away from its direction and the clip ends. Candace said there was something not quite right about it and claimed the man vanished into thin air when questioned if the ghostly figure could simply be a real human. The figure was on this sort of clip top and standing there watching us. The man was all gray and the movements were distorted. I called out to him, "Hello, hello," but there was no response. Where he was standing was really high up and a difficult climb with a sheer drop on one side. I can't see how anyone could have climbed down suddenly without any noise. It just vanished.
Creepy.
Yeah, Candace Collins, her mom Susan Collins, and Candace's partner Nick regularly do paranormal explorations together, but she said this latest one was amazing.
That's ridiculous. If you wish to see that story, you can go to our Facebook site, More Questions and Answers, with Adrian Lee, Tin Man Miner, or Nothing Could Be Finer. You decide for yourselves. A Maine man sent a dashcam video to paranormal hunters to see what unidentifiable objects sped past his car in the middle of a deserted road. Chet Cook was driving late at night in rural Maine. Is there any other part of Maine rather than... Why would you put rural Maine? That's like saying built-up London, isn't it, surely?
Right.
In rural Maine, when he saw a mysterious shadow flash before his car. Have you ever seen a mysterious stranger? Saviour of the universe, I tell you. Did you know that Professor Hans Zarkov was
A real
taken out as
person?
a real person? He didn't see or feel like he hit anything, but the idea kept pestering him to look at his dashcam footage when he arrived home. Expecting a deer when he later rewatched his route, he saw something much more sinister. Sinister's a great word. It comes from the word sinistra, which is Greek, and it means left, because the left was associated with the devil back in the day. You throw salt over your left shoulder because the devil's sitting on your left shoulder. Judas sat to the left of Christ, of course. There's so many things to do with left and being evil, but sinister comes from the word left in Greek. You leave this show with more than you arrived with, don't you? That's got to be worth $1 of anyone's money. As I was watching my drive, trying to find the spot where the deer was in the road, I saw the shadowy thing dart in front of my car, Cook said. I was shocked. I watched the video over and over, the hair standing up on the back of my neck. He continued. I didn't remember seeing that the night before. Cook said he was so disturbed by the sight he sent his dashcam video to 2007 Paranormal, a ghost local gunting hoop.
What? I don't know what that is.
I love that word. You know that.
I'm sorry, I'm getting my worms muddled up. This is ridiculous. They are a group. They're local. They're a ghost hunting group to find out if they can identify the figure or point to some supernatural presence. After the group shared the video with its followers, some took a logical route and claimed it was a bear, a deer, or a big cat.
Oh,
However,
my.
others were reasoning it was something else. It's a ghost bear
It's a gunch.
coming to eat your porridge. To all the people saying it was a living animal, you can clearly see that it is transparent through the whole video. That's normally how ghosts operate, said one of the group's followers. Regardless of what theory the group confers upon, Cook says living in a rural Maine area means we have to get used to these unnatural sights, especially in Bar Harbor on a Friday night. When you're alone traveling at night, Maine can be very spooky, he said. There is a reason that a lot of Stephen King stories have taken place here. Ghost in Maine or The Man's insane. Who knew such wonders? Well, all good things come to an end. So let us look at tonight's scores. In last place with the K2 meter and the dead battery, it is myself. I've only managed to score 4 points. I don't know why. I'm doing the scoring. You think I would have got more. I get a creepy cannon on a week in Gettysburg with a window squeegee, which will resolve all of the issues with the ghosts out there. In second place tonight, scoring a rather nice 007, is Michelle. She gets 6 feet of rope, a week in Liverpool, and a handful of rusty nails. But in resplendent first place, winning the $33,000 IR camera tonight, is Miss Morris, who managed to knock herself up to a double score of 11. She gets a Cornish pasty and a night with a ghost bear in Maine. What more could you want for a first place prize? Do not fear, listener. Remember, we are back with a whole new bunch of stories next week at the same time, and I would love for you to join me for a fun and informative journey through the world of the paranormal, strange, intriguing, bizarre and weird. Please tell your friends and family about the show, and feel free to contact me anytime via my Facebook site, More Questions Than Answers with Adrian Lee. Or you can join my Twitter account at Adrian_Lee_tips. And remember, our archives are available on SoundCloud. If you go to MQTA Radio, you can find those. And don't forget, we have the radio show version of this television broadcast on Friday night on digistreamglobal.com at 10 p.m. and you can play along at home. My gratitude and greatest thanks are extended to Lorna Hunter, Heather Morris, Ton Drainer, Michelle Corrie, and all at the International Paranormal Society in paranormal.net, all of the staff at MCN6, and the show sponsors, including the Lakes Area Paranormal Interest Group and MUFON of Minnesota. You have been watching More Questions Than Answers, the only paranormal quiz show anywhere in the world, with your host Adrian Lee. We are the very best in paranormal news radio entertainment, the light before the darkness. Don't forget to share this with your friends and family. Post all the links on your social media, and we'll see you in the same place at the same time next week on MCN6 at 9 p.m. Central Time on a Saturday. It just remains for me to say thank you for listening, and remember, be interested and interesting. Good night.